My mother-in-law destroyed my hobby to make me a real man.
What is this, Mulan? What are we doing?
I, 38 male, live with my wife, 37 female, and my 7-year-old son. I work as an engineer, and my wife is a senior supervisor at a law firm. I have always loved Lego since I was a kid. And sure, it's kind of childish, but it makes me happy, so I've kept it as a consistent hobby throughout my adult life. By the way, this comes from OKOP 7885, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, in 2024, I spent months building the Millennium Falcon with my son. It's me and my son's pride and joy, and I often show guests who come over. My wife doesn't really get the hype, but doesn't mind either. In early March, my wife's parents came over for a week to spend time with us. They agreed, and I showed both her father and mother my Millennium Falcon. Her father was amazed at the time it took to build my sizable collection. But her mother said that it was a waste of time and that I should focus on being a real man and move up the corporate ladder. I laughed it off, but she's pretty old, and I figured she just held very old-fashioned beliefs. We left the room, and nobody really mentioned it for a few hours. But at dinner, her mother said out of nowhere that I should give up on all this Lego nonsense and be a real man. We ignored this and moved on, but you could see in her expression that she was not happy. Nobody said anything about it for the rest of their stay, and all seemed well the morning they left. They left at 3 a.m., to catch a flight, and we waved them off. I went back to bed, but the next morning awoke to find my Millennium Falcon smashed to pieces, with a note from my wife's mother calmly saying that this was for my own good, so that I can be a real man and focus on what matters.
I agree, though.
What?
This was for his own good.
Oh, because he should do it
because
faster.
now he can rebuild the Millennium Falcon.
Exactly. Think
Even
on the bright
faster
side.
than the first time.
Yeah. It turns out she had quietly destroyed it in the night and left in the morning. I called her in the morning, but she refused to apologize. I said that until she apologized, they would not be coming back again. My wife is not happy with my decision on this matter, and honestly, I'm starting to wonder if I overreacted. Did I go overboard, or am I in the right? And there are some comments and an update, but what do you say, Dakota?
The amount of entitlement from the mother-in-law.
Crazy.
How?
I mean, also, this
How?
is like something that his 7-year-old son built.
Right.
So not only is she like making a statement toward weird statement towards OP, but she also just kind of bullied a 7-year-old.
Right. It'd be different a little bit if this was like, you know, they're just dating, they're not married, they don't have a kid. This is like his bachelor pad she's seeing for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, check out my room with thousands of dollars of what are toys.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'd be like, hey, so when you marry my daughter, are you still going to spend all this money? But it's different.
It's different.
That makes it's, and you would still be wrong for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
It would just make a little bit more sense at least.
But there are some comments. History Chick 99, she ruined something you and your son did together. Regardless of her feelings about you, she actively did something that hurt her grandchild. That right there is grounds to not allow her in your home or have a relationship with your child. Your wife needs to think of how disrespected you were as an entire family unit. If she doesn't back you up with this, then you have some serious issues. Good luck, dude, not the a-hole. And Dumbly Hopeful says, the wife let her mother tell him he wasn't a real man at dinner, likely in front of their child, and said nothing.
Ooh, yeah.
That is a great point. Yeah. Like, why are you defining what a man is, and also, you know, putting down a child's father in front of the child?
Well, if this is how mother-in-law is, can you imagine growing up with that for however many years?
Oof. I wonder if she has any siblings, the wife. I would be rethinking my relationship if I were OP. Oh, Research 69 says, yeah, I don't often get on the divorce bandwagon, and I'm not now. I was about to say, I was like, whoa. But geez, oh. You are supposed to support and look after one another. Why on earth would OP's wife allow this behavior unless she secretly agrees with her mother? I
mean, that's also, I feel like there's two highly likely possibilities. One is she can't stand up to her mom.
Yeah.
And two is that she agrees.
Klotzy Contest says, respecting someone else's property is common decency.
Correct.
You and your son invested time and interest in a hobby that brings you joy. That is just as, if not more important, as increasing your earning potential. When your son is an adult, he will retain memories of the time you spent together. Gaslight GBT says, let GMA know that she just ruined her image of herself to grandson for the rest of his life. Eleanor of Aquitaine, when I was 6, my grandmother threw away one of my Hot Wheels sets because I'm a girl, and girls have no business collecting toy cars. I still think of her as a B granny, and she's been gone for almost 20 years. There is an update. First off, I want to thank everyone for the outpouring of support. I had a good, long talk with my wife in an attempt to resolve the situation, and we've called the mother-in-law, which I hoped would diffuse the situation and bring things back down to earth. Instead, tensions have seemed only to have escalated.
Oh, no.
For anyone who didn't see the original post, my wife's parents came to visit for a week in which things went relatively smoothly, aside from some disparaging comments about my Lego collection from the mother-in-law. But after they left in the night, we discovered the Millennium Falcon destroyed with a note from my mother-in-law saying she did this so that I can move on and be a real man. The craziest part, I think, to me is the note.
Right.
It's like, I did it. Yes, it was me all along.
The audacity.
Firstly, after lunch, my wife and I discussed the situation adult to adult. I expressed my feelings of her not being behind me in this. She admitted to having harbored feelings against my Lego collection. She also admitted to secretly agreeing partially with her mother. She doesn't think that my mother-in-law should have gone as far as she did, but according to my wife, I need to move on. I feel hurt by this since it's been my lifelong hobby, and being an engineer, I take great joy in building various creations with Legos.
Just imagine she's like, you need to move on. You're making our child childish. You need to sit down with him and teach him how to do taxes.
I don't understand.
He's 7 years old.
Also,
He can't balance a checkbook.
I don't know. I don't get why adults are so boring sometimes, you know?
Yeah,
some adults are
hammered
so
out of them.
like, you can't, that's a certain age limit for that thing. And it's like, okay, is it hurting anyone? After that, my wife and I were certainly not in agreement, but we were at least on the same page. We also both wanted to resolve things with my mother-in-law. So that day we called her mother and things did not go well, to say the least. I simply told her that I was sorry I had to not let her come back, and I hope things can be resolved quickly. Still feeling upset about the Lego Millennium Falcon, I said that all I asked of her was an apology. She refused, saying that if she bends for me at all, I would never get over my Lego obsession.
Jeez, Louise. Hey, newsflash, mother-in-law. Even if you don't bend, I'm not getting over it.
Yep. You just won't be able to see me.
Or your
Ever.
grandchild.
Or
That's
your
the
grandchild.
craziest thing here.
Yeah.
Everyone's forgetting there is a 7-year-old involved who also enjoys Legos.
My wife is not happy with any of this, and frankly, the marriage is starting to show tension, which worries me greatly. She seems to be more distant after all of this. I think maybe you go to her and say, I mean, yes, this is my hobby, but also this is something that I enjoy doing with our son, who is 7. Are you going to deprive the 7-year-old of the Legos too?
Not to mention, millions of other people all over the world enjoy this.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's acting like she's acting like you're crawling around on the floor like a baby playing with like toy cars.
It's like, no, you're literally building something. There's so many adults like stage designers in theater build like little tiny sets. And they buy little tiny things, and that's like a job. Like, you're building something. It's not.
It's so weird.
She seems to be more distant after all of this. By the way, you shouldn't be distant to us because you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio in search of OK Storytime. But we've got a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts?
I don't know if this is like a divorce situation yet
or
anything,
not yet,
but it's
at
clearly
all.
like hey, we need to get on the same page because, we have a kid, I'm your husband, and now you've said some stuff that makes me think like you don't respect me.
Yeah.
Or I mean, this is a woman who's been raised by her mother,
her whole life, and her mother has these ideas about what a man is and what a man cannot do. And she's probably, been taught that that's the correct, like the OP's wife has been taught that that's correct.
Right.
And now she's putting all of that on OP, and OP's like, whoa, where did all this come from?
Yeah, I would just try to have a non-confrontational conversation where you just go, okay, so where does this really come from?
Yeah.
Where
do you think that I am not spending enough time with you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that I am not doing a good enough job, with work?
Yeah.
Is there something that I am lacking?
Hammer home also, it's an activity you do with your son.
Yes. Yeah. Truly. I mean, again, it shouldn't matter, but I think maybe one way to get through to your wife is by saying that it's an activity you do with your son. My son has developed a strong disliking of the mother-in-law, and I really can't blame him. She has been getting a little crazy and seems to only talk about Trump these days. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Should we start considering a senior home for her? Yeah. So that's the update. Things are getting even worse, and I'm not sure if I can salvage the situation. I'll update everyone when new developments occur. And there are some final comments. Baby Toes Salami. Seems like some deeper issues here than Legos. My guess would be that your mother-in-law's actions and words are based on things that your wife has said to her. Mother-in-law went off the rails, but your wife likely lit the fuse. Go Melistic says, I agree. I think the wife is more complicit than Opie thinks. I wouldn't even be shocked if the wife asked her mom to do that. Even if she didn't do that, wife is clearly complaining a lot to her mother about this. I recommend marriage counseling stat. The other piece of this is the son now disliking grandma, who destroyed the project son and dad worked on and bonded over. If mom agrees with grandma that it was warranted, how long before the son pulls away from his mother? Pootie Ting says, how effing stupid. The wife has no place telling him what hobbies he can or can't do, unless it's affecting their finances or getting in OP's way of fulfilling adult responsibilities. That's what I was saying.
I was about to say that too. I was like, if his hobby is gambling all of their money away at the casino, you might have a problem with that. Yeah. That's fair.
I couldn't imagine if my wife tried to take from me the one thing that reconnects me to my inner child or to my son. Honestly, that's breakup material for me. Raisinette 1962 says, this poor kid. His grandma breaks something he spent hours helping to build. Well, months helping to build.
Yeah, I mean, it was weeks and weeks.
Yeah, and his mom is on Granny's side. Mother Search says, it's the disrespect your wife has for you and the fact that she didn't give an F, that this was something that you spent time on and bonded over with your son. That's the problem.
Ooh, I think I get it.
What?
Wife's looking at the price tag and going, dude, what?
Oh, the the $800.
$875 for Millennium Falcon. I get it. It's a hobby. I get it that you can do it with our son. $875. We could all go on vacation.
Then that's what she needs to bring up then.
Right.
It shouldn't just be like, oh, your hobby is so childish. Yeah. It should be like, hey, I feel like we should be saving some money here. Like, you don't have to necessarily give up Legos, but maybe we go for the cheaper ones.
Yeah, maybe don't buy the Lego set,
She didn't give an F about how this had affected her son. She didn't give an F and has no respect for your work as an engineer and seems to think it is not a real man's job. You are focused on thinking that you have a mother-in-law problem, but you actually have a wife problem. I'm willing to bet good odds that her mother's behavior has been fueled by your wife, and that's why she had the audacity to do what she did.
I think it's probably the other way around, but regardless, I do agree it's a wife problem. Forget the mother-in-law. She doesn't matter. Fix your relationship with your wife.
Neither of them even care about what they're doing to your son with their behavior. They deliberately destroyed something that was not just materially valuable to him, but also emotionally significant. A project that he had built with his father that he was proud of. You and your wife need to have a proper come-to-Jesus talk about the state of your relationship and why she is so nonchalant about her mother's wanton destruction of something that meant so much to her own son. And that is the end of that story.
Yes. And I do maintain the path forward here as the Lego enthusiast.
Yeah.
to, because I'm thinking if I'm that age and I made something like that and it got destroyed, I'd be distraught.
I would cry.
But it's just like, dude, round 2, we get to do it again.
Yeah. Well, I think
awesome.
I think that's how you kind of pitch it to your son. You're like,
exactly,
yeah, it really sucks. It really stinks that grandma, did that, but that's okay. We can rebuild it, and that's so much fun.
Dude, and you can turn it into a life lesson. It's like, hey, you get knocked down, you don't have to
up.
stay down there forever. We can just rebuild that puppy from the ground up.
Mm-hmm. It's a metaphor. And then you go, son, I know you're 7 and you don't understand what a metaphor is, but you're about to learn. To be honest, I feel like if you spent $800, you would want to get some use out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you have a battle, have it fly around, maybe run it into a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
That's going to be rough, though.
Make the destruction, like...
And you got to separate the pieces for each set. I think Derailed said, what if the pieces are broken? Another great opportunity to teach a life lesson.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to keep moving forward.
Glue.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Do the best we can. Keep moving forward.
Good thing about Legos, though, hard to break those pieces.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean...
Some of them
if
be
this
broken.
woman actually smashed this and then like broke all the important pieces in half,
that's embarrassing for her.
I'm taking her to court.
Yeah, I'd be like, well, she wasted. Yeah, that's like $800.
Yeah, $800 plus emotional damages for my son.
My mother-in-law meddled with my medical charts. I want to report it.
And I could have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you, meddler.
Is this just normal bad or bad? I've been with my wife a little over 10 years, married for the last 6. Can you guys let me know if I have a relatively normal, annoying mother-in-law or a more extreme case? By the way, this comes from Del Taco 911. And if you want to spit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, my mother-in-law is a nurse. I knew long before marriage that she was snooping into my health records and also looking into my mom's, who passed away in 2009. I only know this because at the time I was in hospital QA and staffed quite a bit, and my genius mother-in-law left her footprints all over the charts. I assume you mean fingerprints. I have asked her to respect my privacy, but she comes back with, if you have nothing to hide, then you don't need privacy.
Your mother-in-law here needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
I felt like she was trying to find out if I had any mental health issues, which I don't have any diagnosis of, or any red flag health issues. If she was so curious, she could have just asked me. She somehow charted that she gave me a flu shot one year. This isn't a one-click whoopsie, because she would have had to open my charts, open the immunization tab, select the vaccine, enter the manufacturer lot, EXP. Why would she do that? Fast forward a few years later, when my wife was in labor with our first child, my mother-in-law called, emailed, texted constantly. When I picked up the phone, she yelled at me going, "You're not taking care of my daughter." Keep in mind, my wife is now a stay-at-home mom. With some days, both kids are in daycare, so my wife can have time to herself. I'm the most responsible and hardworking person you'll ever meet.
I don't know, buddy. I wake up every day and meet myself in the mirror.
Yeah, I've met a lot of responsible and hardworking people.
No, I'm just kidding.
Namely, Dakota.
Aww.
I grew up with nothing and finished 7 years of college by 23 while working 2 jobs to support myself and my passing mom. We are in our 30s with our dream house paid off and basically cruising / passive income building / set for life. All because I busted my butt when I was young. I don't smoke, drink, or do anything risky. I don't show off. I don't blow money on stupid stuff. But I live responsibly and go on lots of fun vacations with my family. I've been told, "You're my parents' wet dream" by other girls.
I don't like thinking about that phrase.
Now, to get back to my mother-in-law, I listed off the stuff she's done in email. Email title is usually ? Or FYI. Often multiple email threads titled ? pertaining to the same topic. Hard to follow ideas as they are thrown out haphazardly. Not uncommon to open email at night and have 5 emails titled ? times 3. And 3 of them will be on the same topic. The record to beat is 12 emails in one day, which included a very informative email telling me where to put my water by my bed in case I get thirsty at night, but not somewhere I may knock it over.
Thank God.
Gives commands on what to do, often disoriented and disorganized, highly stressed, highly urgent, thinking out loud, lots of back and forth, gives commands, but may change mind at a moment's notice with another email. So she's sending like written voice memos.
I would just like stop responding
I
or
would block
opening
her. Yeah.
or
Send it straight to junk.
yes,
do
just
that.
like ignore these.
Indecisive can lead to added stress. Communication is a list of commands, one way only. Quickly turns into a disorganized interrogation, also very nosy.
Right. So ignore her.
No respect for personal privacy. If you're not doing anything bad, then you don't need privacy. Requires immediate submission to commands. Gets impatient for reply. Makes us feel obligated to reply ASAP. If reply isn't given in time, original email is sent again with title ... second time, which indicates a reply is now required. If no reply is given to ... second time, then an in-person confrontation occurs. Okay, so it can't just go to junk because she does get upset. I
No,
guess
I don't care if she's upset. It can
Strange.
go to junk. And if she wants to get upset and confront me, she can hear it straight from my mouth that I don't care.
Yeah. One time she did this with me. I asked her to look in her sent folder, and it turns out she was misspelling my email address. How she misspelled my address when she emails me 5 times a day is beyond me. Oftentimes, we don't know how to reply because the email doesn't convey a complete thought, and sometimes doesn't contain a question. We don't know how we're supposed to respond. Gives little to no time for follow-up, often multiple times a day, nagging, "Didn't you do it yet? Did you do it yet? Don't forget, don't forget." Many follow-up emails. If there's a lot of time leading to a date, then weekly reminders or more. Leads to alert fatigue. After a while, it's a constant fire truck siren. Wordy, too many instructions, too disorganized, alert fatigue. So is she average crazy or is she crazy? And there is an update. She sounds a little crazy.
Boy, I think you're crazy for entertaining her for 1 minute.
She's crazy. Stop checking those emails. Send it straight to junk. And if she tries and talks to you in person, you say, "Sorry, mother-in-law, we got rid of our computer."
What does your partner have to say about this?
Yeah, why is this all happening? I don't know. I think we need to go try and get this lady into a sanatorium. I'm just kidding.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, though, I don't think this feels like a person who should be working in the medical field.
No, I would be sending all of this to a freaking, go to where she works.
For the safety of everyone in the hospital,
Yeah.
I don't think she should be a nurse. That's crazy.
Say, "Hey, this is my mother-in-law. She's harassing us. This is what she stole my medical information." So,
But see, now that's going to be
That's messed up.
incredibly hard to navigate because that's your wife's mother.
yeah.
Where if you do go down that road, you are now taking away her income. You're taking away her security. Like, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a bystander. But, like, with the context of the family, it's incredibly complicated. And it's so not fair that she's forcing you into this position.
Agreed. Update on HIPAA violation. It's impossible to talk to mother-in-law in person because she has very selective hearing and also hearing loss, for which she has a hearing aid but refuses to wear it. So I went with a letter. She refuses to wear her hearing aid?
She's a nurse. She knows better.
Mother-in-law very upset with the letter right now and feels she was blindsided and attacked. She says there was no indication that there was anything wrong, despite my multiple attempts to gingerly talk to her. Apparently, mother-in-law kept saying to sister-in-law, "Am I a terrible person? I know I'm not a terrible person." And father-in-law stepped in and said, "No, you're not. You're not a terrible person." The same father-in-law that warned me that marriage is miserable and that I'll end up hating his daughter as much as he hates his wife. What is this family?
What is going on? What?
The same father-in-law, when I asked for his daughter's hand in marriage, responded with, "Are you sure this is what you want?" Mother-in-law initially said she was looking in my charts to find my mom's name to snoop in her chart. She said that out loud?
Yeah, this woman shouldn't be a nurse.
Yeah. She now claims that she really thought she gave me a flu shot in 2008, which is BS because I've never seen her at work and we work over 100 miles away from each other. She has shown no remorse for her actions in my chart or in my mom's. I'm thinking I need to call the privacy department and let them know that I need my chart corrected and inquire on how it's possible for my now mother-in-law to have been in my chart when I first started dating her daughter. I have no desire to make up with her or try to work with her because I'm not going to waste any more time and energy on someone I have no desire having a relationship with. I don't have to see her until Thanksgiving, and we don't plan on staying in their house for the weekend. We decided we're going to book a hotel in the area instead. If anyone has advice, I will happily consider it. Don't hang out with this lady. And also, I have advice for you guys. You should listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search OK Storytime.
Hang out with the sound of our voices.
So true. There is a little bit left to this story, but Dakota, what do we do?
I'm calling the hospital yesterday now.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
honestly. But, again, because as impartial observers to the story, we can say that really easily. But in reality, OP is going to have a hard conversation with his partner because that's her mom. And
That's her mom.
Functionally, I mean, she did it to herself.
Yeah.
With her actions. But that's going to end up really destabilizing her career and her life, whatever you want to call it, right? So she's got to be ready to accept that her mom deserves these consequences.
I mean, yeah.
So you got to have a conversation about it. I wouldn't do it behind her back, silently, secretly. It needs to be like, hey, I think your mom's breaking HIPAA violations for me, and I'm going to report her.
I already
She
feel violated. Yeah. Say like, hey, that was completely inappropriate. And she's admitted to it. So,
yeah. And sure, this is us, but imagine what else she's capable of.
Yeah.
If she can just do this
to anyone.
You know, it's like that stuff is the code for a reason. Like,
but there is an update, or a little bit left at least. P.S. DW is seeing mother-in-law, dear wife, sorry, is seeing mother-in-law for who she is. Sister-in-law is torn, agrees that everything in my letter is true, but she also feels mother-in-law is trying to be helpful.
That's really misguided.
Even after controlling sister-in-law's bank account logons, hiding tax documents so she can't apply for a mortgage to buy a house.
Right.
She is so deep in the fog because mother-in-law had such a tight grip on her and buys her everything she needs. And that is the end of that story. Yeah.
Keeping them on the teat for life.
Tell your wife, you're like, yep, I don't feel safe around this woman and she's violated a lot of my privacy, so this is what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, it's just like it's time for consequences. And also, if she's that scatterbrained, she doesn't know how to use a computer. She doesn't know how to use technology. She works in a
not be a nurse.
Heavily, technology-related field, being in the medical industry, like taking care of patients' charts and medical information. You can make a mistake there, and it can cause incredible damage.
Agreed.
So maybe it's time to retire. Have that conversation. Do good by yourself. Stand by.
Okey-dokey.
And it sounds like your wife is on the same page, so that's good. So that won't be a catastrophic meltdown.